possession consecutively as far as plays. You're going to be taken in and out because there's so many other great guys at your position. So for an individual to rack up some stats in this game, it's going to be really tough.
Well, the difference, I think, in this football game, to go along with L.J. Scott, who's been phenomenal as well, this is just a team in Team East that has been able to basically establish their dominance throwing the football, as both Joe Burrow and Kyle Shermer have combined 8 of 10 passing, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Team West is only throwing 5 of 13 passing for a measly 26 yards, no touchdowns, and you had the fumble early on in the second quarter from your quarterback Lawson. So you look at the number differential here, and this is just a football team that really cannot establish close to anything here in the first half offensively.
Yeah, and I would even argue a lot of it has to do with the big encyclopedia that the Semper Fi provided us as far as game rules.
Game rules. It really hampers the offensive effectiveness.
But to the credit of Semper Fi and the Marine Corps, a lot of it has to do with safety. It is an all-American game. It is a meaningless game. Yeah. And so therefore, rule changes are going to happen.
Yeah, would it be real unfortunate to have one of these players go down? It
would.
Fortunately, in 24 minutes of action, we have yet to see any of that, and I really hope that nothing happens. It's the reason why you have quite the pamphlet there as far as game rules. Your impressions of the first half from a Team West perspective where, of course, the whole storyline is they haven't gotten anything going, but how about a football team that's playing some pretty gutty defense as well?
Well, they are. I mean, with the 10-0 score, that's an instant indication that the defense are playing solidly. And to the credit of the West, well, if it weren't for a nice touch pass by to the
Tristan Payton.
To Tristan Payton, a USC commit, this would have been a 3-0 ball game, and we would have been talking about how bad the East was as well. So let's give the West some credit.
I believe Team West, yes, they do. They will be the team that actually kicks off to begin the second half, giving East, leading by 10, another chance for some more points. We're taking a look at the halftime stats, Dan. We've looked at the East offensive edge, but your impressions of other notables here in the first half?
Other notables, I would have to. Well, here's a guy who we have not seen yet that I have attention on, and that's Malik Lovett. I'd like to see him get involved somehow, some way. I mean, he is playing special teams at kick return because that's his type of play at the next level, is a playmaking ability guy, a guy who can break a tackle or two. And then once he gets in open space, you're not going to catch the guy. So Malik Lovett, talking about a guy who I would like to see. Hey, why not put him at slot or like you said, he's the perfect transitioning wide receiver to running back at the next level.
He's the receiver who won the game for the Division II state championship, Redlands East Valley over Clayton Valley Charter. It was a barn burner, 34-33 final. I don't think we're going to see that type of final score here from the StubHub Center, but we do see Malik Lovett, 5'11", 190-pound prospect who is going to play football next year at the University of Oregon. Malik Lovett is a man who I think is more of a running back, kick return man than as he played in the championship game as a receiver. I think he's just more of a man who can play some running back.
Yeah, we did see him in the championship bowl game, how he dropped a few passes from the slot position. And so
a few is generous. I think he dropped 5 or 6.
Oh, wow, that's a huge number there. But that's why we're thinking he might transition better into the running back position at the Division I level.
We've given some love to, well, never mind. I thought we were going to look at some defensive numbers, but we get the play-by-play summary, I guess.
Wow, this is really impressive.
It is. But again, thank you all for joining us here at the National Sports Radio Station on Spreaker.com. Again, this is a presentation of the All-American Semper Fidelis Bowl game. It's the greatest players to suit it up here this season at the high school level. It's your Pro Bowl for the NFL. It's your pro prospects in the NCAA. It's just your bowl game filled with nothing but superstars at the high school level. And
you bring up great comparisons. I mean, this is a game that is displaying 49 players inside the ESPN 300. So, yeah, great comparison there, Nick.
And one thing that I have noticed, if you will, is over the last 10 years, and I took a look at all of the former number one quarterbacks projected out of high school.
Okay.
This year it's Blake Barnett, Alabama commit, but over the last 10 years, 0 players that were number one overall at the high school level ended up making multiple Pro Bowls at the NFL level.
Interesting.
Guys like the greatest player to come out being number one is Matthew Stafford, but you had guys like Tyrone Davis, you had Jamarcus Russell, you had all the guys who were projected to be the greatest and never really came into fruition. The number one in this game is John Kolar, but just to move ahead, Dan, of these 4 quarterbacks, which one have you been impressed with the most?
Well, I have to go with my local product, and his numbers weren't impressive at all. And it's got to be Sharon Jones. I mean, I think he's the best athlete out of all these guys. I mean, and he's 6'3", 190. He's only going to develop into a bigger body, and I think he's going to be a playmaker at the next level for sure.
I would have to definitely tip my cap off. Of course, I could go for the easy selection that is Joe Burrow, but I took a look at, and just to get you guys up to speed, Joe Burrow playing for Team East, finished the half, 5 of 6 passing for 53 yards, was sacked once, but also was able to run for 5 carries, 19 yards, and one of which was almost a touchdown. Joe Burrow, Team East, and I would like to get your impressions on this. This is a man who put together the best overall campaign for his Athens high school football team in history, in program history. Lost in a shootout to Central Catholic with 15 seconds to go.
Wow.
Boy, is that a real stunner, if you will. The number 12 dual threat in the country. He did in a post-game interview. He was a man who had 6 passing touchdowns and over 500 yards total offense. But he said this was, quote, the worst day of my life. Is that a man who you could expect to win at the next level?
Of course. That's the type of mentality
Is he just,
you want at your quarterback
So you're
position.
saying that's not too emotional? This is a man who just rides the whole team on his shoulders.
Well, that's how important the game of football is for the guy. You know, he loses a game, and it's the worst thing that could have ever happened to him.
Right.
And that's the type of guy I want on my team. Football purpose-wise, I'm talking. I mean, if
Ohio State agreed. They offered
Yeah.
him a scholarship, and he's going there next season.
Hey, Urban Meyer is on the right track. He's in the national championship game, and he's got his kid, a guy who's going to be a freshman. Probably will have to redshirt because he is going to be in the lower parts of the depth chart. But
Behind Braxton Miller and Cardale Jones.
There you have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Of course, Ohio State is questioned for their quarterback situation, being that they are in the national championship, but many, I'm sure, will give Oregon the heavy favoritism there in that ball game, even with their win over the number 1 team in the country, Alabama. Joe Burrow next year, of course, put up great numbers, 11,000 yards in 3 seasons with Athens High School. That's pretty remarkable. Add another 2,000 rushing with a combined 174 touchdowns. Now that I'm done giving all the numbers, Joe Burrow, you mentioned, is a top-flight quarterback, but how about the play of a man who threw the touchdown there for Team East, Kyle Shermer, Vanderbilt commit, finished the half 5 of 6 throwing the football.
Yeah, Kyle Shermer is committed to Vanderbilt, and he'll be a product who will be making noise in the SEC. We'll see if Vanderbilt not known to be a powerhouse in the SEC, but always a team that you've got to be able to compete with. Very physical, always hangs in there in football games, and with him picking Vandy, I say they take a step forward.
Now, Vanderbilt is a team that's finished towards the bottom of the cellar in their respective conference, but boy, they could contest with the best with a guy like Kyle Shermer back there. I think this is one of the better pickups for Vanderbilt in quite some time. The Commodores?
The Commodores.
Commodores, my
Yes,
apologies.
Sir.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
All of which are listening are shaking their head at this point.
All of Vanderbilt, they're located in Tennessee, so all of Tennessee is
yeah, they are
disgruntled right now.
They certainly are. But you take a look at that Vanderbilt football team, and I think they really got themselves quite the steal.
They really did. I mean, the guy's got great size, a great arm, and he's the only guy
offers. He's among the least recruited football players here for the Semper Fidelis All-American Bowl, and I think he could be not only a winner here for Team East, but one who is up there among the best passers over the last 4 years here in the All-American Bowl.
Listed as a pocket passer, but he has shown us glimpses of himself running. So showing us some versatility, which is always good if you're a head coach and you recruited a guy who's listed supposedly as something and adds on to what he could already do. So good pickup for Vandy.
We'll see in the second half what Kyle Shermer and the rest of that Team East offense has in store. As for Team West, couldn't get a whole lot worse than 90 yards of complete offense there in the first half. 0 points for Team West, only 8 first downs.
Yeah.
This is a football team that also was a ball club that didn't even enter the red zone at 1 point here in the entire half, and really, it couldn't get a whole lot worse than that.
You talk about 90 total yards for the West. Well, 90 yards is what the East has total rushing. So it just goes to show you how lopsided of an event it is, despite it only being a 10-0 score. Statistically, it's been one-sided all East.
I'm wondering what in the world Team West has to do to respond here in the second half.
I've got an idea.
Go ahead.
Just execute. That's all they have to do. Just execute. It's been bad passing, poor blocking, bad route running. So it's just mistakes, Nick.
Well, Team West, I think it all starts with the ground game. When you run 14 times for only 33 yards,
wow,
that's a shade over 2 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And one of your studs at the running back position, Jamichael Hasty, 4 carries, Dan, for 0 yards.
Yeah, it just goes to show the big boys up front have got to get a little bit more physical and a little bit more emotionally involved, because when it comes down to the running game, it's all a mental approach. It's the most physical. It isn't necessarily the strongest team is going to get the most yards. It's all about an attitude. And, well, the East and the West have got to change their attitude if they want to actually close this game out.
But Team West has only completed 1 pass, Dan, to a wide receiver. That was Levon Austin with an 11-yard grab. In the second half, West will receive the football first. What is your impressions on that passing offense, and can you rely on it here in the last couple quarters?
Well, there's no other way to play football than to get the pass going. I mean, if the running game's not going, the pass game has to be able to execute, and there's just been too many badly run routes by the wide receivers that have not allowed for a quarterback to complete a pass, really, except for one.
Well, the busiest that receiver Malik Lovett has been in this game is actually as a returner. He'll take the opening kickoff for the second, up the middle to around the 29-yard line. And the passing ineffectiveness of both of these quarterbacks has been the storyline thus far in the first half. 5 of 13 throwing the football for both West quarterbacks, Brian Lewerke and Sharon Jones. And out for the West at the quarterback position is number 7, John Kolar, the number 3 QB in the nation. He'll get an opportunity, trailing by 10, to get things going here in the second half. He has an uphill battle. He'll begin with his first play under center with a handoff. A keeper up the middle. Here goes Kolar, and he'll ramble his way. First play under center for a Team West first down, making a gain at 12.
Yeah, but it's been nothing different than what the West has really shown us, and it's actually been just a quarterback show. Despite their poor numbers, it's a quarterback getting a first down.
Kolar is able to get things going. The number 3 QB in the nation. It's a first down and 10 from their own 42. A keeper again. Kolar's got room. 40, 35, 30. A flag is down. Sideline to the 15, and he spun out of bounds at the Team East 10. But this run that gained a monstrous 57 yards may be coming all the way back. You can see Kolar frustrated, hobbling right back to the line of scrimmage.
It seems as if the West can't get their lucky break of the night as Kolar breaks one, but a flag thrown in the vicinity of holding, and it will be.
John Kolar with the 57-yard scramble. They list him as a pocket passer at 6'4", 190 out of Norman North High School in Oklahoma. He'll continue his football at Oklahoma State University, and that was not his fault. That was a